She stole my car, crashed it, and laughed. That is what my sister told me when I finally got her on the phone at 5 in the morning, gravel in her voice, like she had slept in a ditch. And before you call me dramatic, hear this. By sunset, I had a $12,000 estimate, a family telling me to put family first, and a choice that would either save my dream or set fire to every holiday photo. If you stick with me, you will find out which one I picked, because by the end, a video shows up that blows everyone's lies to pieces. Me, male, 29 years old, high school shop teacher in Michigan, single, proud owner of a rebuilt 1993 Toyota Supra twin turbo that I bought 8 months ago after 3 years of saving cash, working extra periods, and selling a ridiculous collection of vintage hand tools. My sister, female, 23 years old, is the fun one. She's a bartender/DJ with glitter in her hair and a fan club of cousins who think rules are a suggestion. She arrived Friday night with a duffel bag that smelled like coconut lotion and cheap vodka, bounced in my doorway and said, "You're no fun, Nate," when I told her I had to be up at 6 for the Saturday Auto Club clinic. I fell asleep on the couch with YouTube repair videos playing low and the scent of fresh coffee grounds from the French press I prepped for morning. When I woke, keys were gone from the little magnetic tray by my front door. My stomach dropped like a wrench slipping off a bolt. The Supra was not in the driveway. A neighbor's porch wind chime ticked in the early gray. I texted, then called. Finally, she answered, laughing. "Relax, I just took it for a spin." You know that cold shock when you pour water on a hot skillet and it erupts? That was my chest. A spin, she later admitted, meant racing some friends out by the county line where the cornfields start. By the time I reached her, the front bumper looked like origami gone wrong, the intercooler punched in, splitter snapped, and one headlight hanging like a loose tooth. The smell of radiator fluid was sweet and sharp in the morning air. She shrugged, lip gloss smeared. "It's just a car," she said. I told her the estimate would start around $12,000, and that was before we checked the frame. She rolled her eyes. "I don't have that kind of money." Somewhere behind us, a crow cackled and the sun came up mean. The tow truck driver whistled low and said, "She didn't just have a good time, she tried to fly." My sister laughed again. That was the first moment I thought, I do not know this person. I did what everyone in my family calls dramatic. I called my lawyer friend Hannah, a 31-year-old who did me a favor after I fixed her Jeep. She drafted a repayment agreement. The paper crackled on my kitchen table next to a chipped blue mug. My parents called before lunch. You know the kind of call where you can hear your mother's bracelets clack against her phone? "Nate, honey, she is struggling. You have a stable job. Family comes first." Dad chimed in with his sheriff's voice, soft but heavy. "You are ruining her life over a car." I am not a shouter. I keep my voice steady, the way I do when 15 teenagers gather around a drill press. I said, "She stole it, she raced it, she wrecked it, she laughed." Mom said, "It was a mistake." I could hear the clatter of dishes like she was moving around her guilt. "A very expensive lesson," I replied. I sent my sister the agreement with a payment plan she could handle, $250 a month, no interest if she paid on time. She sent back a middle finger emoji and the words, "I'm cutting you off." She blocked me. Then she posted a story on social media with a blurry photo of my car and the caption, "Boys and their toys." My phone lit up with cousins playing defense lawyer. At dinner that night, takeout enchiladas, the cheese congealing in a plastic clamshell, my best friend Malik, 30, line cook and fellow car nerd, shook his head. "Your family wants you to subsidize recklessness. Nah." He tapped the estimate with a fork. "She did the crime, she pays the dime." I told him the insurance agent said I was out of luck, unauthorized driver, same household. "You mean family discount?" Malik snorted. "Discount to 0. He stared at the photo of my mashed front end and said something I could not unhear. She could have killed someone. I slept badly, the apartment smelling faintly of gas and metal, dreams full of screeching tires. Am I overreacting here? Things got louder on Sunday. My mother invited me to an adult conversation at their house, which is code for guilt ambush. Her lasagna steamed on the counter, basil and garlic filling the kitchen like a trap. My sister sat at the table in oversized sunglasses, tapping a fake nail rhythm on her phone. "I am not signing," she said before I sat down. Dad folded his arms. It was an accident, he said, as if the word could erase skid marks. I put the photos on the table like evidence. A cop would call it reckless driving and theft. Mom dabbed her eyes. We taught you family loyalty. Family loyalty isn't a get-out-of-jail card, I said. 12 words that landed like a wrench. Dad leaned forward. You threatening charges? I did not blink. I am asking for accountability. If she signs, I let it go. If not, I do what I have to do. My sister smirked. You would not dare. She said dare like we were teenagers again, daring each other to jump off the dock into the lake at midnight. I picked up the lasagna spatula and set it down gently. You do not get to set my boundaries with a smirk. Mom said, you sound cruel. My sister whispered, he is heartless, loud enough for the room. I stood, palms flat on the table. There is another option, I said. If family truly comes first, Mom and Dad, you can pay it. $12,000. I will hand you the same plan, interest-free. You could hear the refrigerator hum, the clock tick. The smell of baked cheese suddenly made my stomach flip. No one volunteered a penny. My sister pushed back her chair. I'm cutting contact, she declared, as if absence were power. Would you cut ties with family over this? Monday morning at school, I taught kids how to measure twice and cut once, while my phone buzzed with messages accusing me of destroying Christmas. During lunch, Malik slid into the metal stool in the shop and set a thermos of black coffee by my elbow. I slept on it, he said. Report it stolen. The only reason you did not is because she is your sister. I stared at the floor, sawdust bright in the strip of sun across concrete. Insurance would have covered theft, he added. You know that, right? It is not too late, I said, but my voice sounded like someone else's. That afternoon, a parent I barely knew, Mr. Schultz, tall, usually stoic, came by to talk about his kid's attendance. As he left, he paused, squinted. That your Supra in the driveway last week? I nodded. He hesitated, then said, You might want to check TikTok. He showed me a video, night footage out by the county line, headlights, a crowd, someone yelling, Send it! My car, my actual car, launched forward. The camera panned and caught my sister on the passenger side, hair whipping, and a guy I had never seen driving. He wore a hoodie with a skull and a gold chain that flashed in the light. They were not just racing. They were doing one of those road takeovers where people block intersections like it is a parade for poor choices. My stomach turned to lead. My sister had lied twice. She was not alone, and she was not driving. Another video angle, different account, same night, showed that second guy clearly smashing the front end into a ditch while someone whooped. The comments were full of flame emojis and rip to the Supra. I could not breathe for a second. The shop smelled like motor oil and betrayal. I texted my sister, Who is he? She read it. No reply. I sat on a stool, the cold metal grounding me. Is family betrayal worse than romantic betrayal? That night, I drove the toe-limped Supra to a specialist an hour away. The highway hummed under me, the cabin smelled like coolant and the faint citrus of the little air freshener I forgot to replace. The shop's owner, a woman named Trudy, who knew Supras like people know their kids, put it on a lift. Intercooler, bumper, rad support, maybe frame pull, she said, ticking off a list like a diagnosis. And diminished value. Even fixed, this car's worth is scarred. You are not losing 12 grand, you are losing future money. Her words felt heavier than any bill. She wrote up numbers that made my jaw ache. I went home and printed the updated estimate, then sat at my small kitchen table, the wood warm from the afternoon sun. I opened my laptop and saved the videos before they disappeared. Then I called my parents. There is a second driver, I said. He wrecked it. There is proof. Silence. Then Dad, cautious. Let's not escalate. Mom, quick. People make mistakes. There it was, the family hymn. This is not a mistake, I said. It is a chain of choices. I called Hannah again. She clicked her pen. "Good news for the civil side," she said. "You have evidence. Names?" I gave her the guy's handle, then the real name we found through Malik's internet magic, Cole Martinez. She said, "We amend the agreement to include both of them jointly. If they do not sign, we file. We can also talk to the police. If you get a theft report, your insurance might play ball." I placed the two options in a text to my sister. Sign with Cole and pay, or I file a police report and we let the system decide. A minute later, 3 dots, then nothing. Family isn't a shield, it is a mirror. That line fell out of me and I wrote it down. Would you rather see karma or deliver it yourself? The family summit happened because my aunt turned her backyard barbecue into a tribunal. Paper plates, corn on the cob dripping butter, citronella candles battling mosquitoes. My sister arrived late in a glittery top, Cole at her side, chain glinting like a warning. He had that smirk of a man who thinks consequences are for other people. Malik came with me, arms crossed, a quiet wall. Mom kissed my cheek, whispered, "Do not make a scene," which is always something people say right before a scene. I set the manila folder on the picnic table. "Cole, you were driving my car," I said. He raised his brows. "Allegedly." I tapped my phone and played the clip. There he was, frame by frame, hands on my wheel, my sister filming herself like a co-pilot. The cousin chorus murmured. Aunt Carla's eyebrows hit her hairline. Cole shrugged. "Looked like fun," he said. My sister blurted, "We were just trying to make a video." That word, just, thudded onto the table. Dad cleared his throat. "We can work this out privately." I looked at Mom and Dad. I tried privately. I slid the amended repayment agreement forward. "Both of you are responsible," I said to the couple. $12,000 for repairs and diminished value. Payment plan, no interest if you pay on time. Cole laughed. Not happening. He reached for a corn cob. Butter glistened on his fingers. "You are ruining her life," Mom hissed. "He ruined my car," I said. "She ruined the truth." Cole leaned back, chair creaking. "What if I say no?" I looked him in the eye. "Then I file a police report. I give the insurance the videos, and I let the prosecutor call this what it is." He smirked. "Grand theft auto? Cute." He took a bite of corn, kernels popping. "That is a felony," Aunt Carla said softly. Everyone looked at her like she had spoiled the mood. The grill hissed. Somewhere a dog barked. My sister slid her sunglasses down her nose. "You promised not to go nuclear," she said to me. "I promised to ask for accountability first," I replied. "This is me holding the match." He didn't borrow it. He committed a conquest. 12 words, and the table went still. 2 days later, I walked into the police station with Hannah. The air smelled like bleach and coffee. I handed the officer the videos, the texts, the timeline. He nodded like he had seen this play before. "People think family first means law last," he said dryly. It does not. He took my statement and told me a detective would contact me. That night, my father called, voice cracking on my name. "Son, this will mark your sister." "She marked herself," I said, and hung up before my resolve could wobble. Insurance called on Thursday. "If the car was stolen and you have a report, we can review theft coverage," the agent said, professional but not unkind. "But we will need statements." I gave them everything. Meanwhile, Hannah filed a civil suit, naming my sister and Cole. Malik and I spent Saturday in my driveway replacing what we could, headlight, bent bracket, while the cicadas screamed from the maple trees. The Supra's hood was propped, my hands greasy, my patience thinner than a shim. Neighbors walked by with dogs and gave me that look, sympathy spiked with curiosity. Mom texted a long paragraph about forgiveness and holidays. I sent back a one-liner. Forgiveness comes after repair, not instead of it. No reply. That evening, my aunt sent me a photo from a cousin's group chat I had been kicked out of years ago. A screenshot of my sister posting that I was suing her for vibes. The comments were full of people calling me petty, until someone dropped the video link. Silence followed. A few, yikes. The crowd effect turned. It was not victory, it was oxygen. The detective called on Monday. We talked to Cole. He admitted to driving. My heart knocked once hard. Your sister says she took the keys without permission, he added. This helps your case. He paused. Do you want to push for charges? I looked at my hands, stained black in the creases. I thought of my students, how I preach that mistakes are instruction, not identity, but choices write your syllabus. My decision was a weight that fit my palm exactly. In the end, I chose both accountability and mercy, just not the way my family wanted. Insurance approved partial coverage for theft, pending the case outcome. It would cover a chunk of repairs, and they would chase the rest from the responsible parties. The prosecutor offered my sister a plea: misdemeanor unauthorized use, restitution, probation, no felony if she completed a driving safety course and paid her share. Cole, with his priors, was not so lucky. He faced a heavier charge and a longer bill. Hannah called it a win that does not taste like one. Still, I slept for the first time in weeks with the window open, the crickets stitching the night together. At the mini resolution meeting, court hallway, vending machine humming, stale coffee smell, my sister would not look at me. When she finally spoke, it was to say, "You made this worse." I said, "You made it exist." She looked small for the first time, the glitter scraped off, the gold chain gone. Mom's eyes were red. Dad's hands were in fists inside his pockets. No one hugged anyone. The judge called our case. We faced forward, together and not together. Months later, the Supra rolled out of Trudy's Bay gleaming like a second chance. The engine sounded like a promise. There is a scar if you look close, a story in the paint, but it is mine. I changed the locks on my house and moved the key tray to a drawer. Malik handed me a greasy rag and said, "You kept your spine." I told him it did not feel heroic. It felt like paying taxes. On the drive home, I passed the county line where the fields open up and the sky is a lid you can remove. I kept the speed legal. My phone buzzed once. A text from my mother. "We are having Sunday dinner next week. Please come." I stared at it while the light turned green. I had to decide whether a dining room chair is a reward or a trap. Should family always come first, or does first belong to the truth we live with afterward? At my parents' house, months later, the gravy smelled like sage and butter. There were fresh flowers on the table and a fragile piece. My sister sat across from me, hair pulled back, face bare. She cleared her throat. "I finished the course," she said. "I'm paying." Then, quiet, "I am sorry." My mother swallowed a cry. Dad stared at his plate. I nodded. My fork clicked on the edge of the china. I did not say it was okay. I said it was wrong, and let that hang, the way a chord needs silence to resolve. Outside, wind rattled the dry leaves. After dinner, my sister found me on the porch. "You hate me," she said. I shook my head. "I hate what you did, and I hate that you laughed." She looked at the yard. I thought if I laughed, it would be less real. We stood there listening to the far-off hiss of the highway. She said, "I blocked you so I could pretend you were the problem." I said, "You can unblock me when you decide we can have real conversations." She nodded. We used to play as kids in that same yard, building forts out of lawn chairs and blankets, laying on our backs to watch planes we swore were going to the moon. There was a time when we shared secrets. Now we share a complicated truth. As I got ready to leave, my father stood in the doorway, shoulders bent. He said, "I am proud of you," like it hurt. My mother kissed my cheek and whispered, "Next time, call me first." I smiled without teeth. Malik texted a photo of the Supra in the driveway, sunset turning the hood into a mirror. I typed back, "Home in 10." I drove slowly, radio low, air smelling clean. The car hummed. I felt the old joy creep back in, not because the car was perfect, but because I chose the kind of person I want to be. And that is when I realized, being the adult made me the villain to children.